Welcome to the All Things Circular podcast, your gateway to the circular economy. Hosted by industry experts Victoria Darcy and Rich Bulger. Every episode is proof that circularity isn't just good for the planet. It's a smart business decision. Our mission is simple: to empower, to inform, and to show you how to make the circular economy work for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of All Things Circular. I'm Rich Bulger.
And I'm Peter Evans.
And we are here with one of my really good friends and someone that I admire and respect in this industry a great deal, Mr. Jimmy Rodriquez. Jimmy, welcome to All Things Circular.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, so tell us a little bit about who you are, who IV Technology is, and what you do to serve your clients in the market.
Sure. IV Technology is a global product services aftermarket company. Actually started to do some forward logistics as well. We're global. We're in 47 countries. We serve about 7 different industries and really focus on trying to bring value to the aftermarket services.
You mentioned what those industries are. You mentioned 7.
Yeah, so it was, see how good my memory is. So our largest industry that we serve today is in computing. So logos like the likes of Dell and HP would be our key customers. We're also in the networking equipment industry, the Ciscos and Aristas of the world. We're in the consumer products industry, DJI, Microsoft, Sonos, those kind of companies. We're also in the med tech industry. We're in the industrial industry with biometric time clocks, POS systems, etc. We are also in the telco industry, so more the telecom infrastructure side of the networking equipment. And we're also in the robotics division. So we service the robotics industry from an install-based perspective, not an aftermarket as much.
So we'd like to use the word circular logistics. Logistics is movement to and from. Forward is to the point of use, for reverse is moving away from the point of use, with an idea of once it goes through an assessment of cosmetic, functional, sometimes there's some repair or refurbishment, it gets ready to go to its next user again through forward logistics. Manufacturers make things, distributors acquire and sell, and if you're in the secondary market, you recirculate. So you mentioned there's 7 different verticals, and I know that IV has undergone some transition and movement and mergers and acquisitions to go through and really find a target specifically in a reverse space. So can you talk a little bit about the culture and capabilities of IV, and how are you serving those clients? What sort of processes do you help facilitate?
Sure. I think one of the transformations that Ivy's been through is we used to be part of a very large contract manufacturer. So the focus wasn't really on what you could do differently from a repair perspective. How do you prevent the repair altogether? Our transformation has been in innovation and technology as it relates to predictive repair, tools, capabilities, automation, robotics. So how do we create more value in that product that comes back so it can be sold back from a C to a B to an A level product grade? One of the challenges that we're seeing in the industry today is you talk about logistics and movement. It's how do global companies move product in and out of certain countries? How do they know where to properly set the DGI? How do they use AI and technology to make sure that the DGI is in the right location for their demands? So, and those are some of the things that we try to help them out with.
And so for people who aren't familiar, what's DGI stand for?
DGI is defective goods inventory versus finished goods. So they know how to put the finished goods inventory in the right locations, but when the returns come back, the defective units come back, where does it go based on their repair install base and et cetera. So it's a little bit different.
And you have physical locations. You know, some folks in the circular economy are just focusing on the software layer, but you have actual physical facilities.
We're in 47 locations around the world. We have major repair hubs that are a little less than that, but we're in 47 locations in the world, import and export a record at each one of those locations. So we really help from a reverse logistics perspective.
Big physical footprint around the world.
Very large footprint, yes.
And outstanding facilities. I've had the pleasure of visiting IV in Kentucky. How big is that facility?
The Louisville facility is actually now 3 facilities. Mm-hmm. So the main operation's in 150,000 square feet, but now it's become a campus. It's really grown in the U.S.
I've also had the ability to to travel to Hungary and visit a facility there that's doing repair as well.
Correct. It's one of our larger facilities. It's a lot of innovation going on there for the networking division of the company.
When I go through and I look at different facilities and I look at things that make companies stand out and are different, one of my favorite visits was actually to the Hungary facility, because the team went through, and you can tell when a team is really invested in going through and trying to solve problems, is when you see custom things, custom jigs to go through and hold products at certain angles so it's more appropriate to disassemble specific machinery that's used to go through and heat or cool adhesives to be able to take them apart.
Right.
And the ability to go through and put significant volumes of equipment under massive amounts of stress testing to make sure that whatever the fault was that caused the repair to come in is addressed. So can you talk a little bit about the innovation of Ivy?
Sure. One of the things that we've heard over the years from our customers about our competitors and us as well back in the day was that in our industry, the repair shops are really good at doing what they're told. So a customer will come to you with a process time. This is how we want it done. This is how we want it tested. What we've done in our DNA is introduce thought leadership in how we can do it differently, how we can do it faster, how we can yield more. And with that, we've really focused on innovation. We even have a learning center in the Hungary site that you were in, where people are just working all day long on how to automate things and how to create those jigs. We have 3D printers to create parts that are end of life or obsolete. How do we automate more? How do we create better yields? So I think it's a change in culture as opposed to just doing what your customer wants you to do. How do you start thinking? I know it's a cliche, but how do you think outside the box in terms of what can we do differently? What step can we remove? How do we make it faster? How do we improve quality and yields and et cetera? So it's been a cultural change for us.
Interesting.
And that's how we've won many awards in the past.
So these devices are coming to you and you're repairing them. Are you sending them back to the owner, or are these being aggregated and potentially resold to other second customers?
Great question. In a lot of cases, it's same unit repair. So if a unit comes back, let's say your laptop comes back, we fix it, send it back to you.
I see.
In a lot of cases, it's an advanced exchange, so it becomes seed stock. So your unit comes back, you get a brand new one or a refurbished one. That one comes back, it's fixed, and it goes back into seed stock. And there's also the third where it comes back from a warranty that, or a lease that's expired. It comes back to us, we fix it, and then it gets sold into another market.
So when you resell into other markets, are you selling on your own platform, or are you using third-party platforms?
Actually, we're not selling at all right now. This is why I'm here at the show. This is to start
breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news, yeah. So Ivy Technology is starting to get into the ITAD space. We're making investments. We're learning. We're coming to shows like this, meeting key people. But today, most of our customers will resell their products. We want to start helping them selling into different channels.
I see. So that gets into disposition engines.
That's exactly right. So you're seeing an evolution of companies going through and skating to the puck of where value is going. Reverse logistics has 3 core competencies: asset recovery, how do you get products? Operations, how do you move them left to right to the facility, maximizing value at lowest touch point to get them ready for their next life. So I love seeing companies that start with a repair mission and keeping the focus of something that is similar to the desired outcomes of their clients. How do you go through and generate value by making strategic acquisitions? We've had some really fascinating conversations over the years, mostly about Rams football, because he's got impeccable taste in football.
One of those guys. Okay.
Yeah, and a little bit about diets and families, but
Military.
But I've learned a lot from Jimmy. So I've got kind of 2 questions related to one we've talked about before, one we haven't, but both relate to artificial intelligence. So IB going through and trying to diagnose repair, you can go through and run through a checklist, or you can get really smart and trying to predict problems that are coming in. Can you talk to me a little bit about how AI and ML, those have been buzzwords for a long time, but they're really being applied now. And if you're not doing AI or ML, you're late. So can you talk a little bit about how Ivy is leveraging AI and ML right now for optimizing repair chains?
Sure. I'm going to try to take this in two different approaches, and I hope I make my CTO proud of me because he's much better at this than I am when it's speaking to this technology. But first and foremost, we started using AI in our predictive repair capabilities. But our predictive repair capabilities was more around how we can help troubleshoot things faster, automate it, take the intelligence out of the tribal knowledge rather out of the technician and put it into a predictive repair tool. That now has morphed into talking to our customers about how we get their customer data. How do we get that call center data? How do we get the data more upstream and look at what's a no-fault found before it even comes to our building? And that is now something we're working on, and we're in collaboration with a very, very big logo, I won't mention their name, where we're taking their customer data and helping them look at a global scale, that data and those reason codes or trouble codes, and how do we prevent those units from coming back because it was just an operator error. It's not really anything technically wrong with the product.
I see what you're saying. So it's not predictive maintenance. It's actually really triaging to make sure you're
triaging
stuff
from data.
Right.
Without touching the product at all. We started off in the AI journey looking at how we can get smarter on what we're doing with our debug technicians, which has helped. We have a predictive repair tool. We have a predictive robotic arm that measures the board, et cetera. But now we've taken that one more layer, and we're working with our customers and getting their data, which is somewhat very confidential for them, but they're trusting us to look at this data and say, how can we take your knowledge of debugging a unit and all aspects around that, and how do we prevent these units from coming back, the ones that don't need to?
Right.
Because they're seeing a lot of logistics being wasted, a lot of transportation costs being wasted for a unit that's perfectly fine.
Got it. It makes total sense. So kind of, can you give us a ballpark in terms of the savings potential that's associated with better
to be transparent, I'm guessing. But, the one client that we're talking to is one of the largest in their industries, and they're spending, hundreds of millions of dollars in transportation just moving products around that they probably don't need to. What percent of that can we save? Probably 10, 20%, I would assume.
Okay. So there is real productivity
for the larger
gains.
Companies, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. And then for our own, in our own four walls, we've been able to save, I think we're up to 7 or 9% of units that are not going to a technician because of our predictive repair tools. It's small right now, but it's making a big impact and it's growing fast.
Yeah, every device that you don't have to repair because you diagnose or prevent the return from ever occurring is 100% savings.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's really good to see those controllable returns go through and decline, and it's very easy to measure.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that I don't think people fully appreciate how technical the circular economy can be. Would you agree with that? That there's a lot of technology. I mean, your name, I think, speaks for itself.
I think the average consumer. Actually, yeah. I think the average consumer thinks that, repair is something you do in a mall with your cell phone while you're,
which
shopping, which does happen. But I think when you look at the larger scale and the scalability of repair in the aftermarket, I think it's undervalued.
Yeah. It's industrial repair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing a building 200,000 square feet packed with equipment, every product that comes in that we see on a shelf has a face and a name. Someone bought it, someone touched it and installed it.
Right.
Someone got to a point where they said this thing no longer works, packed it and shipped it. So whenever I was walking through facilities, I would try to go through and humanize. Everything had a specific story.
Right.
And when you see returns at that level and scale, and I would love to go through at some point and walk through one of these facilities with you, just so the audience can go through and see and feel how returns aggregated really goes through and puts into perspective how big the problem is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, from an Ivy perspective, they've got a lot of product that's going through, but I wanted to spin and ask the same question a little bit different because you and I were complements. We were partners trying to go through and help take care of the customers, and I always appreciated our relationship. But as you went through and got smarter from an Ivy perspective with AI and ML, your clients and partners have also gotten smarter with AI and ML. Mm-hmm. So how have you seen the people who are building or sending products to you for repair, how do you see them evolving as they start to implement AI and ML into their lives?
Good question. How do I see them evolving with AI and ML? Well, I think I think they're trying to find that data point as well on how they can prevent the return. There's a lot of cost pressures. Even some of the larger companies that had higher margins are now figuring out a way how to reuse a product. Before, it was, we'd rather buy new. And there was always a constant battle with the planners of a certain organization of just wanting to go buy new. That was the first knee-jerk reaction. But with the cost pressures, they're starting to use that AI tool to figure out how they can better position something that's coming back. How can they anticipate when it comes back, how long it's going to take to diagnose it, when they can repair it and have it ready to go back to market. And that's where I see our customers using AI versus us. And again, with the cost pressures, I think it's something that's become more apparent now.
Interesting. So, we've been talking about technology, but I want to ask, what do you see on the horizon that gets you excited and where you want to have your teams kind of focus on really understanding what the technology frontier is?
Well, I think the technology frontier for me that's exciting is the AI piece. It's how do we prevent the returns from coming back? And I know that's counterintuitive to the fact that our revenue is based on returns. But there's ways to partner with certain organizations to say, hey, look, if we could prevent the returns using AI and our predictive repair, capability and how they tie together and prevent the returns from coming back at all, how do we do a revenue share, gain share on that?
But in a way, you're looking at false positives, right?
Right.
So you don't want those returns because they don't actually need to be returned. Right.
But for most repair companies, that's a loss of revenue. Or if I can figure out a way, to Rich's point, of not having to repair the unit at all.
You could say, hey, we just want to get them at the devices that really need to be fixed, right?
Well, if you go through, and that really is the difference between someone who is out for themselves for a short-term dollar,
right,
or someone who's trying to
create long-term value,
lasting partnership.
Yes.
Because those that will go through and be willing to say, I'm seeing this problem.
Yes.
You can solve it by doing this, and it would prevent the return. If you look at it just from a short-term balance sheet perspective, fewer widgets coming into the door. There are some players in the space that will not go through and divulge that to keep the cash register going every time someone puts a hand on an item.
Well, I think that was somewhat of a paradigm shift of what used to be historically repair merged with the same person that manufactured it. I think there was a philosophy at one time of whoever makes it should repair it. I think there's been a paradigm shift in that over the last 10, 15 years that says, hey, I want to separate that because they're not divulging certain things. We do a lot of failure analysis that tells our customers, hey, you're using the wrong component here, the design flaws here. Not only can we repair it, but we do failure analysis that helps them determine a better way of making it. It's been a major paradigm shift.
Interesting.
And being in the seat of a person that selected partnerships, those ones that would go through and say, if you fix this design flaw, you could build a better thing. Because in this ecosystem of the secondary market and the secondary supply chain, if your upstream source is healthy, you can stay healthy. Just the same as if your downstream source is healthy, the manufacturer or distributor can stay healthy. And what I often found is if you solve one problem, then other problems are going to be brought to you to solve. So you can continue to grow and evolve if you have a relationship that's built on trust and a mutual desire to take care of the customer.
That's the key. When we were first approached by this organization I mentioned earlier that we are working with to use AI to prevent the units from coming back at all, that initial conversation happened in a QBR, a quarterly business review. And we went back and said, do we really want to do this? Because if we do help solution this for this customer, we're going to lose a lot of volume. But you said the key word, trust. If we can prevent the returns, and let's say I lose 20, 30% revenue, they're going to give me another problem to solve, which will generate more value add. So we took the risk and we're partnering with them now, and we're hopefully see some results in that pretty soon.
That's great.
Fantastic. Well, Jimmy, one of the things that we love to do in this podcast is go through and dispel common misperceptions, bust a myth that exists. So you've been doing this now for quite a while with a high degree of success. What is something that you've heard time and time again that you could take this opportunity to go through and set the record straight? Bust a myth for us.
Well, I think the myth that I see that needs to be busted in, I think it's actually starting to become busted, if you will, if that's the right word, is there's no value in repair. It's a cost center for a lot of companies. There's no value in it. I think now companies, realize that there is a value, cost of new versus a repair is a huge savings. The cost of having the units not come back at all is 100% savings. And doing the right thing from a circular economy perspective by figuring out a way to reuse or resell has a lot of value. So that myth is starting to be busted, and we hope to bust it some more.
I see. So you're able to extend the life of these assets as a result, and then kind of offset the cost of buying new. Do policies, because there's variation across the world. Obviously, France, for example, is a leader in this right to repair. Is that more on the consumer side and doesn't really affect the business, or are you seeing policy drivers?
Well, I think it's transforming what used to be a whole unit repair to maybe parts repair or component level repair. So yeah, the right to repair you may issue a board for a consumer to put that board in or a hard drive. But when that board or hard drive comes out, there now becomes a new market to repair as opposed to the unit coming back. So yeah, there's been a change. To answer your first question, I think it's more the consumer market more than anything, the consumer industry, but it's creating a demand in another area where it's more parts repair.
Interesting. Well, super fascinating discussion, and thank you so much for joining our podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. And you have to come out and have your show at one of our facilities.
That would be fantastic.
All right.
Jimmy, great seeing you again, my friend.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for tuning in. Please head over to allthingscircular.com to learn more.